cut him some slack because he's learning too.
That's good.
You know, he was 21, I was 20 when we got married. We were learning together how to be married, how to live together. Well, it's Just Us Girls time again, and once again I have my Just Us Girls sisters. I've got Danielle, Diane, Kara. It's the crew. Yeah. All right. Okay, so we don't have an expert giving us any advice this time.
We are the experts.
We are the experts because this episode we're actually going to give advice to our younger selves. We're going to go back to that wedding day, how many ever years ago, and talk to ourselves and give ourselves our best marriage advice.
Wow.
I like that. Who wants to go first? Anybody?
We're going to start with Youngblood over there.
Okay.
She volunteered.
Yay! Let's do this. Eric and I were married August 16th, 2014. We will be celebrating our 8th anniversary. It's coming up. And what have I learned? Wow. There's so much that can happen in a short amount of time. Like 8 years, we've moved a few times, we've had 2 babies, and we've faced some major losses in our lives. And in a short amount of time, 8 years, it has flown by. And I think one of the things that I've learned the most is that building trust in your marriage is foundational because you face so much. And in building trust with your spouse, that also means standing up for them in many different situations. And that includes you speaking highly of your spouse to your parents, because you can create a narrative to your parents about your spouse that is very one-sided.
That's good.
And so I think it's important to always talk highly about your spouse to your parents, because you just want to build them up, and your family is so important to you, and it's so important to your spouse. You would never want to cause a drift in that relationship between your spouse and your parents or your family. And so always build them up to those people, even though they're the people you trust the most, and you might want to vent about your spouse to them. I think it's foundational for your relationship to keep that a positive narrative, because then they will keep you positive in regards to you and your spouse.
You don't want to create secondhand offense, right? Because once you've moved past and resolved whatever issue it may be with your spouse, they're still back there.
Yes.
And so,
That's a lot of wisdom for one so young.
About to say, for 8 years
You've learned that
in,
already.
kudos to you, because it takes so many people so much longer to figure that out. And the fact that you figured that out in 8 years, that's amazing.
Thanks. We faced
Kudos to you.
We love each other.
Very good.
Kudos to
Okay,
you.
girls, who else wants to go next?
Well, if we're going in order, does that mean I'm on the hot seat?
Okay. Hot seat time.
So May 26, 2001, which puts it, we're at what, year number 21, I guess, that we've been married. So we've learned a few things. So what have I learned? Let me pull up my list.
Pull out the list.
Okay, so what did I write? You know what? I have one here. You will be so much happier if you root for his team or are invested in whatever he loves. You know, don't fight it. Just, you're not going to change those things about your spouse. So just go with it, and eventually you will learn to love those things as well. Like, my husband's a movie buff, and there's some movies that I probably wouldn't, you know, go watch on my own, but like, okay, I'm going to have the attitude now that I'm jumping in with you. I'm going to learn to love this. And there have been some movie series that I've dove in, and now I'm a true fan. So
Even if he votes for the Maple Leafs?
There are limits. No, I'm only kidding. I have no idea. I'm just kidding.
And then I also wrote, he needs you to be his safe place, his biggest cheerleader, and the least of his worries, more than you realize. Like, I've just learned I want to be the one that he doesn't have to you know, my husband has enough troubles of his own. I don't want to be one of them. Like, I've just learned to relax a bit more and just have him know that I'm his safe place. And then also, one thing I really thought back to our early years, I would say to all the newlyweds out there, whoever is just starting out in marriage, that go into marriage debt-free, like not worrying about money. If you don't need a big fancy wedding. You don't, like, those things really don't last.
I agree.
But some of the mistakes that we made early on, in like the financial mistakes, they can hover over you and haunt you for years, and you just don't need that stress. I believe that financial stress in a marriage, it's one of the top reasons for divorce. And so I would throw that out there, that, you know, just not having those burdens is so much easier. And so, you know, learn that when you're young. Make sure that you do the Dave Ramsey financial piece, or however you're going to learn how to work together as a team doing finances. Okay, Diane?
Okay, well, for me, we have been married. We were married June 7, 1992, which means we've been married for 30 years.
30 years.
Wow.
30 years, yes. So I've learned a lot. I've got a list to share.
Okay.
The advice I would give to my newlywed self would be to not lose my authentic self.
Okay.
Right?
Good.
To not lose my authentic self. Don't be afraid to speak my truth.
Okay.
In every circumstance, remember to speak my truth, and to know my own deficiencies. Right?
Self-aware.
Yes, absolutely. The other advice would be make sure that I loved myself enough to love my spouse. Because if I don't love myself enough, how can I give him the love that he deserves if I'm not loving myself? The other advice would be allow my husband to create an environment for me to flourish. Right? Because sometimes we push that away.
So what do you mean by
right?
that? What do you mean by that?
Meaning that in terms of don't, like, for example, my husband would always try to build me up and to put me in situations to be able to do my music, right? Because I'm a singer. And I would always fight that. He would always create the perfect environment for me to do that. And I'd shy away from that. But we should not push that away.
Let your spouse love you.
Yes, exactly. 100%. And the last things are understand that love is when two people don't expect each other to be perfect, but instead see each other perfectly. Very important, right? Because none of us are perfect, right? But as long as we see each other perfectly, then we can work through whatever. The last would be what you do is more important than what you say. Show me, show him, right? Love keeps no record of wrong. 1 Corinthians 13 speaks of those things. Love is kind, love is patient, love is, read 1 Corinthians 13 over and over and over again. And the most important thing is love keeps no record of wrongs.
That's good.
So good. I love, one of the most beautiful things about marriage is when you were talking, Diane, about, you know, my husband sees something in me and wants to do that, is our spouse has been given to us and they see things in us and are able to draw things out that we don't even see
That's
in
so
ourselves
good.
and bring us closer
That
to
is
what the
so
Lord
good.
wants us to do.
And we fight it.
Same way.
Yes, we fight it.
And we should never be ashamed of who we are and the giftings that we have. We should take hold of them.
Right.
And thank our husbands for creating those spaces, because we create space for them.
I was about to say, because we always push them out front and we want to be in the back, but they want us up front.
That is so good. Okay, so we were married. You were married June 7th.
Yes.
We were married July 7th. July 7th, 1984.
Wow.
So 38 years. And if I could go back and talk to my 20-year-old self, my
Can you
young,
believe we got married when we were 20?
my baby self.
What did we know then?
Nothing.
Well, it's funny. So after we'd been married about a year, someone asked Ron, so you've been married a year now. What's the thing that you learned the most, you know, in this 1 year of marriage? And he said, I'll never forget what he said. I learned how emotional women are. So that would be my number one.
Story.
Is don't be so emotional. Don't be so sensitive. Like just relax. You know, just take a breath. Just don't take everything so sensitively because sometimes he's saying things that he doesn't mean. It's just it's fun. It's in fun, or it's maybe not appropriate, but it's not bad. It's just just roll with it.
Yeah.
Don't take it so personally, which I'm sure I did lots of back in the day. It's so funny. I made a list too, and I let Ron read my list the other day, and he said, "Yeah." I was like, okay, you don't have to agree with every single one, okay? But he did agree with every single one. Cut him some slack because he's learning too.
That's good.
You know, he was 21, I was 20 when we got married. We were learning together how to be married, how to live together, how to join two lives together. We were still in university. We had lots on the go. And, just cut him some slack. What else? Oh, don't expect him to know your needs.
Yes.
So many times we think, well, if he really, if he loves
read our minds,
me and he knows me like he should, then I shouldn't have to tell him what I need. He should just know what I need.
That's good.
Yes,
That's
so good.
a
I'm
good
still
one.
learning
But
that.
you know what? I think we're all still learning that because we live in such a romantic world that the romantic movies and romantic novels all tell us that he looked across the room and knew what she needed. She needed him to walk over. And I mean, no, he doesn't. He's just thinking, what does she need right now?
I hope
He knows what he needs. Yes.
And so, just let him know what you need.
That's good.
Swallow your pride. And say, listen, honey, I know we're learning together how to do this. And this is what I need in this moment. When we do this, I mean, we still have these moments, Ron and I, where I'll say to him, okay, honey, when we were with other people and we said this and that, what I needed you to do at that moment was this. And he said, really? I said, yeah. I said, oh, okay, thank you for telling me. Because you're just building. You're building something, a future that you want to be strong moving forward.
That's good.
And that's so much easier for the guys too, right? We're handing it to them on a silver platter. They want that.
And Danielle, this relates to something you said in a previous episode. Don't overthink. I can attribute motives to Ron. Well, he did that because he's thinking this.
Right. Yeah.
And he's thinking that because of this. And I've got him down this rabbit trail that he doesn't have any idea what that's about.
Right?
And he wasn't thinking anything.
No. So don't overthink. Just, kind of, again, dial it down. Relax. What else? You know what else? I was thinking about you guys, because you guys have been through so much. Like you said, Kara, in the last 8 years, you've been through a lot. That I would say to my younger self, I never would have dreamed I would go through breast cancer. It wasn't in my family. It's not part of my history. I would say to my younger self, you're going to go through some pretty serious stuff. But if you lean into God and you lean into each other like never before, you'll get through it. You'll be okay. It might not feel like it in the moment, but it's a temporary thing that you're walking through, and you have to see the bigger picture and see down the road, and you'll be fine, just to get through it together. And I know you guys have done that, and I know we've all been through things, serious things, that we've had to really lean into our spouse for. So.
And I think it's during those times that you realize what brought you together and what makes you great as a couple. Because Eric, if you know him, is a huge jokester. He's hilarious. And I am more serious, and I just need his humor. And I really leaned into that during so many seasons because it's what makes him great. And
That's
so
beautiful.
This is so good, girls.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing from your lives. This is just really good. And thank you for being with us. Don't go anywhere. There's more Better Us to come.